Arsène Lupin is a fictional gentleman thief and master of disguise created in 1905 by French writer Maurice Leblanc. He is often a force for good while operating on the wrong side of the law. Raoul was believed to be his true name. On June 15, 1906, Maurice Leblanc introduced Sherlock Holmes to Arsène Lupin in the short story Sherlock Holmes Arrived Too Late. The story begins with Holmes being called to solve a mystery involving an art collection that Arsène Lupin's planned to steal. Holmes makes a plan to catch Lupin's. However, Lupin cleverly gives Holmes just enough clue to keep him busy, but never enough to catch him. By the time Holmes thinks he has solved the case and is ready to confront Lupin, he learns that Lupin has anticipated every move and already escaped. In some version of the story, Lupin leaves behind a note for Holmes that says, "Too late." This story marked the start of the famous rivalry between the two. Later, Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, raised legal objection. As a result, the character name was changed to Sherlock Sholmes. This was either due to copyright issues or, as Leblanc's son claimed, a personal request from Conan Doyle. Today, many versions of the story have restored the name Sherlock Holmes as the copyright protection have expired.
The name, by the way, is Sherlock Sholmes.
Isn't it Sherlock Holmes?
Shut the up, Mike!
Zorro is a fictional character created in 1919 by American writer Johnston McCurley. Zorro is a brave masked hero who protects common people and indigenous groups. Zorro has a high bounty on his head, but the authority can never catch him because he is too clever and skilled. The town people call him El Zorro, which means the fox in Spanish, because he is smart and charming like a fox. Zorro is an acrobat and master of many weapons. However, he mainly used a rapier. He often carved the letter Z into object or his enemy clothes as his signature. Zorro's real identity is Don Diego de la Vega, the only son of the richest landowners in California. Diego lived with his father in a large estate full of secret passages and tunnels, which led to a hidden cave that he used as a base. He is one of the first masked heroes with a secret identity and inspired many similar characters in stories and other media that you might be familiar with today. If you're enjoying today's video and like learning fun facts about Persona and other Atlas series, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to turn on the bell notification so you know when a new video drops. Otherwise, you'll never see it coming. William Kitts, also known as Captain Kitts, was a Scottish privateer. A privateer is someone who used their armed ship with permission from the military to attack merchant ships and raid settlements belonging to enemy nations. He later became a pirate. After his death, people said he hid all his treasures, which later became a legend. This is the story of how he is branded a pirate. In 1696, William Kitts set sail with a crew of about 150 men. His mission was to disrupt French shipping and hunt down pirates. However, his journey was filled with challenges. He faced storm, illness among his crew, and growing frustrated over the lack of successful captures. 2 years later, as Kitts struggled to complete his mission, his crew became restless. They were eager for money and urged Kitts to attack any ship they encountered, not just those proven to be pirate vessels. This pressure led to a turning point when Kitts seized the Kodak Merchant, an Armenian ship loaded with valuable cargo. Although the ship carried a French pass, making it a legitimate target, the capture was controversial because England and France were now at peace. After taking the Kodak Merchant, Kitts returned to West Indies, only to find himself labeled a pirate. Kitts was then sentenced to death and hanged on May 23, 1701. Carmen is a fictional Romani woman created by Prosper Mérimée. She is often shown as a classic femme fatale. She used her beauty and charm to make men fall in love with her. However, she quickly ended the relationship when she gets bored and moves on to her next target. She is also often seen smoking because she once worked in a tobacco factory. Carmen meets a tragic end at the hand of her ex-lover. In the heated confrontation, he begged her to come back to him and started over together in America. Carmen refused, telling him she's no longer love him. Oh, she's no, he will kill her. She stayed defiant and said Carmen will always be free. The most famous portrayal of Carmen was by a French mezzo-soprano named Celestine Galli-Marie. Anne's story unfolds similarly, but is in many ways even more tragic. The sacrifice for her freedom is not her own life, but her best friend Shiho. However, it does have a beautiful ending that many people fail to understand. I'll leave a link to a video in which I explain Anne's story in full. However, unlike most videos about Anne, this one has nothing to do with her sexualities. Ishikawa Goemon was a thief who stole from the rich and gave to the poor in Japan during the Asushi Momoyama period. His childhood nickname was Gorokishi. There is very little historical information about Goemon's life. As a folk hero, his origins and story have been widely debated. His first recorded mentions was in the 1642 biography of Toyotomi Hideyoshi, where he was described simply as a thief. Over time, he was credited with a rebellious act. One story claimed Goemon entered Hideyoshi castle with unclear intentions. Some say he planned to steal, while others believe he sought revenge for his father's death at Hideyoshi's hands, or even tried to assassinate him because of his oppressive rule over the common people. After getting caught, Hideyoshi ordered Goemon and his family to be executed by being boiled in hot oil at the entrance of Nanzenji Temple in Kyoto. The execution was not only a punishment, but a public warning to discourage rebellions. The most famous scene in the kabuki play about Goemon show him sitting on the Sanmon Gate at Nanzenji Temple. While smoking a last silver pipe, Goemon declared, "The spring view is said to be worth 1,000 gold pieces. But that is far too little. These eyes of Goemon rated worth 10,000.
A breathtaking sight.
Johanna is inspired by Pope Jones, a legendary woman said to have become Pope during the Middle Ages. This went against the Catholic Church tradition of having only male popes. For centuries, many people believed the story. However, most modern scholars think it is fictional because there is no solid evidence. Most versions of her story describe her as a smart and skilled woman who dressed as a man, often because a lover encourages her. According to the most common account, her talents helped her rise through the church ranks until she became pope. Her true identity was revealed when she gave birth during a public procession. She died soon after, either by murder or natural causes. The story claims that later church processions, avoiding the spot where this happened, it also said the Vatican erased her names from official records and created a ritual to confirm all future popes were male. Reference to the female pope were common during the Middle Ages and Renaissance. In 1404, a dame of Earth's chronicons gave her the name Agnes and mentioned a statue in Rome believed to represent her. The Necronomicon is a fictional book of magic or a grimoire. It was first mentioned in the short story The Howl, written by H.P. Lovecraft. The book described the truth about ancient cosmic being, and its original name is Al-Azib. It was written by a character called the Mad Arab Abdul Al-Hazard. The Necronomicon shares forbidden knowledge about these ancient beings, but it's also dangerous. Reading it can drive people insane. Lovecraft said the name Necronomicon came to him in his dream. The design of UFO may reflect a common belief in alien abduction throughout human history. Many conspiracy theories claim that extraterrestrial visitors have taken people onto their ship to perform experiments. Another theory suggests that aliens taught the ancient Egyptians how to build the pyramids. Even though these ideas have been debunked, movies and stories still use them often. As for the tentacle pulling Futaba into the Necronomicon, they more than likely are inspired by Lovecraft's most famous creature, Cthulhu. Milady de Winter, often called Milady, is a character from Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas. She works as a spy and is one of the main villains in the story. Some believe Milady was inspired by Lucy Hay, the cultist of Kali, who was known for her beauty and cleverness. Milady is described as a 22-year-old woman with fair hair, striking blue eyes, and black lash and brows. She is tall and exceptionally beautiful with a voice that can charm and captivate. However, beneath her beauty lies a cunning, manipulative, and ruthless nature. She is cruel, unrepentant for her crimes, and can appear terrifying when her plan fails. Milady is a classic example of a femme fatale.
Take my chocolate, please, before I crush it.
Her personal design well reflects her backstory. On the outside, she looked like a noble woman wearing a beautiful pink dress. However, the dress hides multiple weapons, symbolizing her dangerous nature. The dress also featured a pattern resembling lily flowers. In the story, a flaundelis, a stylized lily, was branded on Milady by one of her enemies as a mark of shame. At the end of the story, Milady is executed by beheading. This likely explains why her personal design has no head. Robin Hood is a legendary outlaw known for his heroic acts. He first appeared in English folklore and later in books, plays, and movies. The story starts with Robin Hood, an 18-year-old skilled archer, heading to an archery contest. On his way, he meets an officer who accuses him of hunting in the King Forest without permission. The tension quickly rises, and in an impulsive moment, Robin accidentally killed the officer with his bow and arrow. Overcome with guilt for taking a life, Robin decides to escape the law, but instead of facing prison or death, he vowed to make up for his action by helping others. He gathers a group of outlaws in the forest, and together they embrace the idea of robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. They became heroes of the oppressed, standing against corruption and the sheriff of Nottingham. Some say the story of Robin Hood was inspired by the tale of Hereward the Wake. Loki is a trickster god in Norse mythology. He embodied chaos, mischief, and cunning. Unlike other gods with clear duties and domains, Loki's role is more fluid and complex. The pattern on Loki's body is called dazzle camouflage. This is a type of ship camouflage that was widely used during the World War I. Loki is included on this list because in Persona 5 Mementos reports, the developers explained that both Loki and Robin Hood represent different sides of a Keiji, and there was no specific order to their awakenings. Like many personas, there are various backstory associated with him. However, I usually focus on the one briefly mentioned in the compendiums, so here it is. Border was admired for his beauty, kindness, and near invincibility. Everything in the universe has promised not to harm him, making him a favorite among gods and mortals. One day, the gods created a game to test Border's invulnerability. They threw objects at him and laughed as everything bounced off harmlessly. Loki, jealous of Border, disguised himself as an old woman to trick Border's mothers into revealing his weakness. She admitted that mistletoe was the only thing that has not sworn to protect him. Using this knowledge, Loki crafted a spear from mistletoe. He approached Border's blind brothers who couldn't participate in the game. Loki then offered to help and guided the blind brother hands to throw the spear. The mistletoe weapon struck Border, killing him instantly. Odin, the king of the gods, and Border's father was furious over Loki's betrayal. He ordered his son Vali to take revenge. The god transformed Vali into a wolf, and he tore apart Loki's son Nari. They then used Nari entrail to bind Loki to 3 massive rocks. Above Loki, they placed venomous serpent who poison dripped onto his face. Loki's wife stayed by his side, holding a bowl to catch the venom. However, whenever she had to empty the bowl, the poison dripped onto Loki, causing him unbearable pain. His conversion was set to create earthquakes. The story of Cendrillon is about a kind and lovely young woman forced to work as a servant for her cruel stepmother and stepsisters. When the Prince of the Kingdoms announced a ball to find a bride, her stepfamily ensures she cannot attend. But her fairy godmother appears, giving her a beautiful dress and carriage while warning her that the magic will end at midnight. You likely already know the rest of the story, so I'll move on to the interesting information. Cendrillon is a French adaptation of the classic Cinderella folktale. Charles Perrault was one of the many authors to retell the story, which originated as the Greek folktales. His version became the most famous because it introduced the iconic glass slippers, the pumpkin carriage, and the fairy godmothers. The name Cendrillon is not her real name, but a nickname given by her stepfamily because she is often covered in ash. It's come from the French word cendrille, which means ash, symbolizing her life near the fireplace and her association with dirt and neglects. This name highlights her lowly status and the cruelty she faces from her stepfamily, and is slightly the reason for her dark skin design. That said, she does not have a real name, but many depictions such as the one from Disney later refer to her as Ella. Azathoth is a god in H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu mythos and the Dream Cycle story. He is the most powerful being in the mythos. Known as the blind idiot god, he is also the father of Nyarlathotep. Azathoth is described as blind and idiot, meaning it has no awareness or understanding. Its blindness represents its indifference to the universe it controls, showing that it exists beyond comprehensions. The term idiot does not mean foolishness as humans understand it. Instead, it points to complete lack of sentience or intellect, emphasizing that Azathoth exists outside the limit of rational thought. In some interpretation of Lovecraft's work, the universe is said to be part of Azathoth's dreams. This means everything that exists is a result of its unconscious thought. Azathoth is completely unaware to this creation. If it were ever to wake up, the entire universe would vanish and Azathoth would not even realize it. The word Pithos is often translated as box in Greek. However, Pithoi, the plural form, were not boxes. They were large jars used to store wine, oil, grain, and other supplies. These jars were also used in ritual as burial containers. People believed they held human bodies, allowing souls to escape and return. The mistake of translating Pithos as box is usually traced back to the 16th century humanist Erasmus. In his Latin version of Pandora's story, he replaced the Greek word Pithos with Pithis, which means box. How this linked to the story of Sophia is that, in Pandora's story, who is Sophia's second persona, the box that she originally opened was a Pithos. John Valjean is an ex-convict who turned his life around in Victor Hugo's 1862 novel Les Miserables. Valjean was an orphan who lived with his widowed sister and her 7 children. In one winter, when food was scarce, Valjean, on the brink of starvation, stole a loaf of bread from a baker to help his family. He was caught and sentenced to 5 years in prison. There, he tried to escape multiple times, and each attempt added 3 more years to his sentence. After spending 19 years in prison, Valjean was released. However, the law required him to carry a yellow passport, which labeled him as an ex-convict. Arriving in town, he searches for a place to stay the night and is repeatedly turned away because of his yellow passport. At last, he is taken in by the bishop, who trusts him, feed him supper, and give him a bed for the night. However, during the night, Valjean awakens and steals the bishop's silverware and silver plate and run off. He is arrested and brought back to the bishop, but to Valjean's surprise, the bishop tells the police it was all a misunderstanding and that he gave the silverware to Valjean. He then says to Valjean, "Don't forget, you promised to use the silver to become an honest man." This act of kindness transformed Valjean into a kind, honorable, and dignified man. He later becomes a devoted father figure to a girl who lost her mother and a helper to those in need. Ernesto Che Guevara was an Argentine Marxist revolutionary famous for his involvement in the Cuban Revolution. He remains a controversial figure, praised for inspiring other revolutionary movements, but criticized for his brutal methods. Guevara authorized the execution of many individuals without trial, arguing it was essential to protect the revolution, even when it affects civilians. Ernesto is described by Lavenza and Morgana as a unique entity, combining a trait of a persona, a shadow, and a cognitive being. This is because her appearance and personality are based on someone significant in Toshiro Kasukabe's life. This is an exceptionally rare case where a person and shadow of the same person coexist. A similar situation occurs with both Metis and Teddy. However, the difference with Ernesto is that it's also share the same body as the cognitive being known as Irina.
We won't let
You won't let him.
the fire in our hearts be extinguished!